Question been output.
I call Chris Hipkins.
Mr Chair, thank you very much. It's somewhat ironic to be rising to speak on this energy bill when we've had such a lack of energy coming from the Minister in charge of it. In fact, I don't think he's taken a single call to speak on this bill in his name. Not a single call to speak on this bill in his name. He got an exemption. Do you think maybe he got an exemption? Do you think he'd be eligible for an exemption, the thermal generation? He may maybe be in it. Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy to rise and talk on the title clause for this bill and speak on what potential other titles we might want to call it. I think maybe we could call it the Climate Change Denial Bill. But then I thought, no, maybe we call it the Climate Change Denial Bill Part 2. Because the bill that Part 3 maybe even, because the bill that we were debating immediately before this one would be Climate Change Denial Bill Part 1, this would be Climate Change Denial Bill Part 2. And of course, I'm a bit confused as to where the government stands on climate change. I know they're taking a balanced approach. They're taking a balanced approach. On the one day they say it's a hoax. On the other day they say, of course, we've always believed in climate change. And then they seem to be coming back and saying it's a hoax again. And so I'm a bit confused, and I imagine that anybody else at home is a little bit confused as to what the government's actual views on climate change are. I noticed the Minister for the Environment's very quiet suddenly, because clearly he's been railroaded by the other members of his party. So maybe that's another potential title for the bill. It could be the What Happened to the Blue-Greens Bill. What happened to the Blue-Greens Bill? Because was it in the Blue-Greens policy? Well, is that right? So how is that possibly in any way, shape or form green in any way? How is that it's blue? It's very certainly blue, but I'm not sure where the green bit comes in, saying that we don't really like renewable energy and we don't really think it's all that important. It's certainly not a high priority for this government to make renewable energy important, because the second bill in a row we're debating winding back the clock on renewable energy, because that's what this government seems to think is one of their most important priorities immediately on becoming government. In fact, they think it's so important that the public of New Zealand shouldn't have their chance to have a say on their decisions at all. They're just going to ram it through under urgency without anybody having a chance to have a say. We could call this the Clean Green Image Revocation Bill, because that's actually what this is all about. Because how on earth, it was only ever an image, Dr. Smith says, so we were never a clean green country. And the people of New Zealand, who are very proud of our clean green image, will be very, very disappointed to hear that. They'll be very, very disappointed to hear that, according to this new national government, we're not a clean green country at all. And in fact, that's right, the land of the long white cloud, it's not a clean green country anymore, and according to National, it never was anyway, so let's not worry too much about that. Let's not worry about that at all. We could call this Where's the ACT Party Gone Bill? Because this is yet another bill that we are passing with no regulatory impact statement. No regulatory impact statement. How many bills have we passed that have no regulatory impact statements or very inadequate regulatory impact statements? What happened? Do we have a Minister for Regulatory Responsibility now? Do we? Does he have a view on this? Does he have a view on the fact that there is no regulatory impact statement on this bill, and that we've had a complete absence of any form of regulatory impact assessment on the legislation that's been being rammed through? So we could call this the Where Did the Think Big Go bill, because this is the Where Did the Think Big Go? This is the Think Big Legacy bill, perhaps. Because actually we've had the members opposite talking about power prices and the increase in power prices, but we know that thermal generation is actually more expensive than renewable generation in most instances. So why on earth this government wants to promote more thermal generation? Why this government thinks they want to promote more thermal generation? Perhaps the Minister for the Environment needs a little bit of a lesson on how the electricity market actually works. But maybe he'd want to talk to the Minister of Energy, but I'm not entirely sure that he understands it either. I'm not entirely sure that he's quite got to grips with that. That's right. The picture book hasn't quite got up to that yet. The cartoonists can't quite draw it fast enough for him to be able to keep up. So This bill, there are many other titles. There are many other titles for this bill. It could be the Climate Change is a Hoax Bill. It could be the Climate Change is a Hoax Bill. A Balanced Approach Bill, that's right. Again, we're coming back to the balanced approach again. That's right. It could be the burning fossil fuels is an efficient.
I
Mr.
call
Chair.
Dr. Paul Hutchison.
Mr. Chair, I move